And welcome back to the Sportsaholic podcast. That was once again Danny Be Cool by Jason James. All right, guys, let's get into a little bit of baseball stuff. And the big thing today is we're going to dedicate our Block4 to Frank Robinson, who passed away today at the age of 83. Frank Robinson was the first African-American MLB manager, and he is the only player, gentlemen, to win the MVP in both leagues. So an ode to the legend Frank Robinson today.
Yeah, Frank Robinson, definitely one of many African American icons in baseball. Frank Robinson, as you said, first African American manager, but also a note here: he was actually traded during his prime. So when he won the NL MVP in '61. A few years later, he hit 33 homers, 113 RBI in 65. But then at 30 years old, they considered him, quote, old and expendable. So they traded him to the Orioles. And then he went to the World Series twice with the Orioles. So no matter where Frank Robinson went and he produced, and ultimately he won. He went to the World Series 4 times. He won twice in 1966 and 70. Definitely an all-time great player. We talk about his contributions to baseball and, his contributions to, after Jackie Robinson, following on Jackie Robinson's legacy. So it's a big loss for the game of baseball, but definitely he'll be remembered as one of the greats. He's also 10th all-time in the home run list with 586 dingers.
Wow. Okay. Well, speaking of guys who can hit some dingers, Bryce Harper, Manny Machado, still not signed to any contracts in their free agency. 1 week out until pitchers and catchers report to spring training. Guys, how awful has this been for the offseason? I mean, no big moves like this have been made. This is what we've been itching for all offseason, and nothing has happened.
It's awful. It really is, Sean. You look at it, though, you look at a third of MLB's teams are tanking. So when you're in this tanking mode, you're not really trying to get premier players like Craig Kimbrell or Bryce Harper or Manny Machado. I mean, again, a whole third of the league, the Mariners, the Rangers, the Orioles, the Blue Jays, the Diamondbacks, the Marlins, Kansas City, Detroit, Minnesota, and if you want to put the White Sox and San Francisco on the fence, you could do that too. That's 9 to 11 teams that are trying to tank and not spend money.
Well, I mean, the White Sox are actually trying to pursue Harper and Machado, though. So, I mean, they've been one of the teams who are in the rebuild part where they're trying to spend money now. But yeah,
they haven't.
But they've at least been in the pursuits and the talks and everything. Maybe they'll land one of the players, maybe they won't. But at least they've thrown their hat into the ring, so to speak, this season. But I mean, no moves have been made yet. It's kind of frustrating. I mean, what's the strategy there? And waiting for so long. I feel like when you wait this long, you're ending up not going to get that $300 million deal. You're just gonna have to settle if you want to play ball this year.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that owners are counting on, is to play this waiting game to see who buckles first. I mean, players are adamant in getting millions of dollars because the league makes so much money, but a lot of that is funneled back through the owners. So owners make a lot of money, and I think the players who actually perform on the field, and like I said last week, I think the players are the ones who should get most of those revenues, not the owners, who we don't see unless there's a press conference or a trade being made. So it's a smart move from the owners. Definitely bones players who are trying to get those contracts, especially guys like Machado and Harper, who, frankly, are among two of the best players in the league right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, we're talking 2 weeks from today is the first spring training game. That's actually going to be Oakland and Seattle. But yeah, 2 weeks from today, and those two guys and Craig Kimbrell have not been signed. Guys, I have a little proposal, and let me know if I'm maybe on the right track or if I'm completely nuts. But I see this idea as a potential way to kind of fix the offseason. So I think we should have extra draft picks be thrown onto right right at the end of the first round. They already have that competitive balanced draft. The way to really make it competitive to me would be how you spend in the off season. It's a big part of, obviously, how you build your teams. So my simple suggestion is that the top 5 teams that spent the most money during the offseason get then the next top 5 picks after the first round is concluded. So when we get to that competitive balance round, so you would, after the top 30 picks, you'd be getting, picks 31 to 35, meaning you would be netting 2 of the top 35 picks. I think this is a good way for bigger teams or teams that are trying to work, because if you're trying to compete, you're spending those money on those players and you're getting draft compensation. And if you're a team that's tanking, you could look at it as you get a player a year earlier than expected, and you're getting now an additional draft pick to help, again, with that rebuild. Or you could take on a bunch of bad contracts, still probably be a top 3 pick, and have that additional pick by taking on, bad contracts. What do you guys think?
It's definitely a unique way of looking at it.
It's an extra incentive. Really, to do those moves and not have these boring off seasons like we've seen this year. So I'm all for it if that would work. Is it worth getting a stronger farm system to spend more money?
Right. That's what it points out to, Sean. Spend more money, you're going to get a better farm system, and you're going to get better players from the free agency pool.
And I wonder if a year like this, where players like Machado and Harper hold out for, millions on millions on millions, will MLB consider finally joining the other leagues and getting a salary cap going? Because this is a league that's been catering to the owners. You look at Bud Selig, who before Rob Manfred had been around, he was an owner's commissioner, guys. And a lot of these heads of state, heads of leagues, are more favored towards the owners of the major league teams or the NFL teams or whatever. So MLB, are they coming closer to a salary cap? Maybe. It might be something to talk about in the not maybe this offseason, but maybe next offseason, after or if Machado and Harper are signed.
Yeah, I like that idea. I think having a salary cap probably would help offset some of those things instead of using the luxury tax, because that's what baseball goes by. And, baseball teams can spend. So have instead of having a $197 million, luxury tax where if you go over, why not just have a salary cap where you can get up to maybe $300-400 million on your payroll and it's not going to affect you?
I'm all for it.
Any other pressing moves in MLB today before we wrap this segment up, gentlemen?
Well, there is one just today. The MLB disabled list, as we've all known it, as a lot of fans have known it for the last 50 years. That name has been officially changed, or at least Major League Baseball plans to rename the disabled list as the injured list. So the disabled list going on the permanent DL there, and it's going to be the IL now.
Nice.
All right.
Nice.
Well,
I really like that.
It's nice, so they're not being offensive to anyone who could take offense to that terminology.
Right. I think this is good for the league. Just trying to appeal to all their fans and not trying to not trying to get on the bad side of any folks. So I think this is a good move by the MLB. Saves themselves some trouble in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, let's take a quick break here on the Sportsaholic podcast. On the flip side of this break, I got my trivia question for you knuckleheads. I hope you guys studied what I told you to study. Sean, of course, you got your DOW. And Danny, you're going to be listing what's trending now. You've been listening to the Sportsaholic podcast right here with Max Zucker, Sean Conway, and Danny Valle.